Hello. Everyone knows the Beatles, right? John, Paul, George and Ringo. But do you know how many Beatles there were before they were the Beatles? Before they were famous, and how they got started? Most people remember only the Fab Four, but there were others in the early days. This is the story of the Beatles right from the very beginning, a few years before they hit the big time. Before the Beatles became the most successful group in history, there were other members in the group for a very short time. This is their story. The beginning. John Lennon formed a skiffle group in 1957 with friends from Quarry Bank High School in Liverpool. For anyone whose memory is not so good or has no idea what skiffle was, it was basically for people who got together to make music with improvised and homemade instruments. In the UK in the late 1950s, the country was finally recovering from war and shortages, and skiffle offered entertainment without having any money. The truth is that without skiffle, modern music would probably not have evolved for a very long time. Improvised skiffle instruments. Virtually every skiffle group had a bass, which was made from a tea chest, a broom handle and a piece of string, and a washboard to replace a drum kit. Quarrymen. The group was originally called the Blackjacks, but was quickly changed to the Quarrymen. The Quarrymen were performing at a church garden party in 1957. John Lennon was performing a song called Come Go With Me, and he obviously didn't know the lyrics and was making them up as he went along. A guy called Paul McCartney was watching, and he knew the words were wrong, but he was impressed with Lennon's ingenuity. So McCartney cornered Lennon after the set and they started talking. Both Lennon and McCartney had a passion for music, but they got on well together from the start. They performed Eddie Cochran's 20 Flight Rock. Lennon was impressed, mainly because Paul actually knew all the words. So from that chance meeting, the two joined forces, and it was the beginning of a legend. George Harrison. George Harrison was a long-term friend of Paul McCartney. He joined the group a year later in 1958. He joined despite John Lennon's reservation about his age. He was only 15. George was born in 1943. Before changing the name to the Beatles in 1960, there were several other members of the group. In January 1959, the Quarrymen consisted of Lennon, Paul McCartney and George Harrison only. Others who played with the group up until 1959 were Colin Hampton, who was a drummer, and he was born in 1938. John Lowe, a pianist, was born in 1932. Hampton quit the group at the end of 1958 after disagreeing with the other band members. Then Lowe quit the Quarrymen to join another band. His friends later joked he left the Beatles to join an unknown band. Search was a talent show organised by ABT-TV and the Talent Scout. In the autumn of 1958, the group had a chance to audition for Star Search again, nearly a year and a half after the Quarrymen's first audition. The group changed their name to Johnny and the Moondogs. It was without a guitar, having broken recently. The Moondogs passed the first heat of the competition in Liverpool and were invited to appear at the finals in Manchester. They performed Buddy Holly's Think It Over to a positive reception, but were unable to stay until the end of the competition to receive the results. As they were leaving, they saw a cutaway electric guitar by the stage, saying that the trip wasn't a total loss. Then came Japage 3. In their Star Search audition, Johnny and the Moondogs changed their name to Japage 3. finding the letters from each of the members' names, John, Paul and George, and the number 3. After hiring a manager, bookings dried up completely. In May, Casbah 3 was defunct. They continued to see each other socially, and Lennon and McCartney continued to write songs together. Mona Best. A lady called Mona married Johnny Best. Her first husband was killed in World War II. She had a son, Peter, by her first marriage in 1941. In India. She moved to Liverpool in 1945 and settled in a large Victorian house in 1957. Family claimed that Mona pawned all her jewellery, placed a bet on Never Say Die, since it was written by Lester Piggott in the 1954 Epsom Derby, when 83-1 the winner to buy the house in 1957. Beatle number 5. He was born Randolph Peter Scanlon in Madras, British India in 1941. Since his father lost his life during the war, his mother married Johnny Best in 1944. He took the surname of his adopted father. Two Eyes Coffee Bar. After watching a television report about the Two Eyes Coffee Bar in London Soho, where several singers had been discovered, Mona Best came up with the idea of having her own club in Liverpool. Two Eyes Coffee Bar was a coffee house at 59 Old Compton Street in Soho, London. It was open from 1956 to 1970. It played a formative role in the emergence of Britain's skiffle and rock and roll music culture in the late 1950s. Several major stars, including Tommy Steele and Cliff Richard, were first discovered performing there. Allowed for standing room only for about 20 people. It had a serving counter with an espresso coffee machine, an orange juice dispenser, and a sandwich display desk. Casbah Coffee Club, Mona's house at 8 Raymond Green, Liverpool, and is today still open as a tourist attraction. Turned the basement into a club and called it the Casbah Coffee Club. Being prepared, the future Beatles picked up paintbrushes to decorate to make sure the club was open on time. Listening to the Four Boys' artistic contributions, Cynthia Powell, later to become Simply Lennon, was the silhouette of John on the wall, which can still be seen today. Conception, the Beatles started at the now world-famous Cabin Club in Liverpool. It was all to Mona's Casbah Coffee Club, and claimed at a lot later date. 29th of August 1959. The opening of the Casbah Coffee Club was really the birth of the Mersey sound, which brought many famous artists in the 1960s. Booked the Les Stewart Quartet to play the opening night with George Harrison on guitar. He counted the booking after Stewart and Ken Brown, a member of the group, had a quarrel. Brown had missed a rehearsal because Brown was helping Mona to decorate the club. 300 membership cards had already been sold, so it had to open. George Harrison said he had two friends of a band called the Quarrymen who would play instead. Lennon and McCartney's first stage. Expanded stage where John and Paul at the Casbah Coffee Club. Today is a tourist attraction, and you can go there and pretend to play on the same stage as John and Paul. Brown was born in 1940. Brown only played at the Casbah for a few weeks when he broke his leg. He could not perform. An argument over money ensued. Ken Brown, the group. The women were paid a grand sum of 15 shillings for each of their performances. Today, the amount is about $1. Real purchasing power is about $25. Quarrymen played 7 Saturday engagements of the Casbah, 29th of August 1959 to 10th of August 1959. They charged £1 entrance fee on a Saturday night, as well as an annual membership fee of £2 and 6 pence. Approximately 15 cents. There was no amplification in the club. Lennon persuaded Mona to hire a young amateur guitar player called Harry to play a short set before the Quarrymen. This was only so they could use his 40-watt amplifier. The Quarrymen were very popular. Kids queued at Mona's club on a Saturday night to watch Lennon, McCartney and Harrison perform. All about money caused the trio to storm out and not perform on October 10th, 1959. The club went on to host many future big stars from Liverpool, including Cilla Black and Jerry and the Pacemakers. Best and the Beatles. He was studying at the collegiate grammar school when he decided he wanted to be in a music group. Mona bought him a drum kit. Black's music store, and Best formed his own band, the Black Band. After John Lennon and Paul McCartney had left the Casbah Club, they were short of engagements, so they went back to the Casbah and saw Pete Best playing with the Black Band. The Black Band had decided to break up. Sutcliffe joins the Quarrymen. Following the departure of Brown, Lennon convinced fellow art school students Sutcliffe to purchase a bass guitar and join the group. The group had no bookings, began rehearsing vigorously to allow the musical novice Sutcliffe to practice on his new instrument. Sadly, Stewart's place in the band was very short-lived. He died of a brain hemorrhage in 1962. In 1960, the Quarrymen returned to Philips Sound recording services to record Lennon's new original song, After 909. Sadly, this recording did not survive. At the same time, the three made a rehearsal tape at McCartney's home. Harrison was absent as he had an apprenticeship. And the tape features several jams and original songs, including an partly instrumental "Oh Yeah." Name change in 1960. Paul disliked the Quarrymen name and went through several others during this period, including Los Paranoias. In March 1960, Lennon and Sutcliffe came up with a new name, the Beatles, although for a short time they played as the Silver Beatles. No one had a clue at this time how big these four guys from Liverpool would become, but they would change the world of music forever. Drummer Woes by George Harrison. We had a string of drummers coming through. After about 3 of these guys, we ended up with almost a full kit of drums from the bits that they left behind. So Paul decided he'd be the drummer. He was quite good. At least he seemed to be okay. Probably pretty crap at that point. He lasted for one gig, and I remember it very well. In Upper Parliament Street in London, where a guy called Lord Woodbine owned a strip club. In the afternoon, with a few perverts, 5 or so men in overcoats, and a local stripper, we were brought on as a band to accompany the stripper. Paul on drums, John on the young guitar, and Stuart on bass. Drummer problems. How many drummers do you think the Beatles went through to arrive at Ringo Starr? According to some sources, the number is 18, and this includes guest drums. After Colin Hanson quit the Quarrymen in the summer of 1958, John, Paul and George played with a drummer again until May 1960. show what chaos there was in 1960, the Beatles played with 9 different drummers. Just the one time. Tommy Moore was their first drummer, even though he turned up late for their debut performance of the Larry Parks audition. So a guy called Tommy Hutchinson sat in until Tommy turned up. Hutchinson was later to turn down playing permanently with the Beatles. After their Scottish tour, backing a singer called Johnny Gentle, Moore was so fed up with Lennon that he quit the group. Despite desperate pleas, he refused to play with them again. He discovered a new drummer, Norman Chapman, who just joined and settled in well with John, Paul, George and Stuart. He had gone to Hamburg with the Beatles. His luck was to run out too. It was a week before departing for Hamburg. He left national service and joined the army for the next 2 years. This time again for the Beatles. On the 12th of August 1960, the Beatles hired Pete Best at Liverpool's Jacaranda Club, which was owned by their manager at the time, Alan Williams. It was not exactly their first choice, but he was available, and the Beatles desperately needed a 5-piece with a drummer for a gig in Hamburg. But there was a side benefit of having Best on the group. He was a very good-looking guy, McCartney said, and out of all the people in our group, the girls used to go for Pete. Pete's reputation preceded him. He was known round Liverpool as mean, moody and magnificent. Enter Bruno Koschmider. A German promoter wanted to hire the Beatles for his own club at Kaiser Keller in Hamburg, and they were there for 2 months. He must have really liked them because he got in touch with Alan Williams and said, "We want another Liverpool group to play with another club, the Indra." Last, a complete group. For the first time in 2 years, the Beatles had a permanent drummer and one who would stay with them for the next 2 years. They gained a fantastic reputation, made a record in Hamburg, acquired a manager in Brian Epstein and signed a record deal with Parlophone. Kaiser Keller, Hamburg and Ringo. While the Beatles were in Hamburg for the first time, they started hanging out with other Liverpool musicians, especially those from Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, which included the Hurricanes drummer, Ringo Starr. Their lives would take very different paths over the next 2 years until they would release a record together. On October the 15th, 1960, the Hurricanes decided to make a record. So he asked his drummer, Ringo, and 3 friends from the Beatles, John, Paul and George, to join them. For the first time, John, Paul, George and Ringo appeared on the record together. Brian Epstein. By this time the Beatles were breaking through. They had a record deal, they had a manager, a very shrewd man called Brian Epstein. Epstein knew how to manage. He made them get rid of the scruffy look. He made them wear identical suits, he presented it an image as well as the sound. He got a good record deal with the MI, at that time a giant in the music industry. Martin from EMI. The Beatles auditioned for Martin on the 6th of June 1962 at the Abbey Road Studios. The EMI sound engineer did not like Pete Best's drumming, so he was fired on the 16th of August 1962. It was cold and harsh with no notice. Best was replaced by Ringo Starr on the same day. There are a few others that turned down the chance to be the Beatles drummer before Ringo joined. Graham turned down the opportunity in July 1962. Alvin turned the job down as he did not like Lennon's sarcasm. Hutchinson said the big 3 made a better sound. He recommended Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr finally arrived with the Beatles on the 16th of August 1962. The group was now complete. So what happened to everybody involved? John Lennon was assassinated in New York on December the 8th, 1980. Murderer Mark Chapman is still in Wendy Correctional Facility in Alden, New York, serving a life sentence. At the time of writing, Chapman has been turned down for parole 10 times. George Harrison sadly died of cancer on November the 29th, 2001. Paul McCartney is alive and well, age 77. Ringo Starr is also alive and well, age 79. John Lowe, age 77. George Martin died aged 80 on the 8th of March 2018. The cause was undisclosed. Stuart Sutcliffe died of brain hemorrhage on the 10th of April 1962. Brian Epstein died on the 27th of August 1967, aged 33, from an accidental drug overdose. Henry Brown died from emphysema on the 9th of June 1988, aged 70, though his body was not found until the 14th of June 1988. Hampton is alive and well, aged 81. William Chapman died of cancer in 1995. No. Richie Galvin died in Liverpool in 2001, aged 58. Bobby Graham died on the 14th of September 2009, aged 69. Johnny Hutchinson died 12th of April 2019, aged 78. Mona Best died of a heart attack on the 9th of October 1988. She must be remembered as the woman who gave the first big break to the Beatles. Pete Desnell is alive and well, aged 78. He was thought by many to have been treated badly by the other group members. However, after years of wondering how life could have been, in 1995 he received a call from Paul McCartney. He told him there was some money owed to him, royalties, tracks on the anthology album, which featured Pete on the drums. Though we do not know the exact amount, it was rumoured to be between £1 and £4 million, so there was a small consolation for the fifth and unsung Beatle. Whatever happened to the Casbah Coffee Club? Even though the membership list has spiralled to over 1,000, the owner closed the club on the 24th of June 1962, with the Beatles as the last group to perform. It has now been opened as a tourist attraction in Liverpool, along with Lennon and McCartney's previous home. The club is 3.5 miles from the city centre of Liverpool. The last word of this story for Paul McCartney. He was quoted as saying, "I think it's a good idea to let people know about the Casbah. They know about the cabin, they know about some of those things. The Casbah was the place where it all started. We painted and stuff. We looked upon it as our own personal club."